Welcome back to Riding the Pine. This is our review of Game 29 of the 2020-21 Chicago Blackhawks season. Tonight, the Blackhawks fell to Joe Quenneville's Florida Panthers by a score of 4-2, dropping their overall record to 14-10-5 on this COVID-shortened season. But before I and my co-host get into the review tonight, if you could do me a really big favor, hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. Also, hit the notification bell so you know when we upload, because our upload times, unfortunately, this season, as we're kind of working out all the kinks, have been kind of sporadic. So if you could please do that as well so you know when our reviews of these games are going live, that would be fantastic. Also, if you feel the need necessary, drop a comment down below. If you think something I say is incorrect, if you think something Joe says is incorrect, if you think something we say is correct, and you agree with us and you want to comment on that specific issue, please do so down below. I'd love to start interacting with some of you guys on the actual YouTube page versus solely on Twitter. And with that, I will bring in my co-host, Joe. Joe, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, Kyle. Hey, everybody. Yeah, tough one. Tough loss to take, especially after the first period. I think we all kind of thought the Hawks would kind of build on that great first period, and they did, and they got the first goal. But then really from there, Florida just kind of took the game over and, really dictated the pace for the remainder of the second and the third period. So this is kind of a tough loss, but, we knew this month is pretty brutal having to play really Florida and Tampa so many times. But hopefully the Hawks will make some adjustments, make some maybe lineup changes. We'll see. And get 2 points come Monday evening.
Yeah, tough game, but I think I know I'm frustrated, and I know everybody else is frustrated because like you said, the first half of the game really, they did come out slow. I think that first, maybe even for 10 minutes of the first, but 5 for sure, they were kind of slow to get out. But that's been a trend lately, I think. But yeah, it seemed like they were in a good spot, and then the wheels just kind of fell off. And look, I expect that to happen. I was just kind of perusing on Twitter afterwards while we've been setting up here, and a lot of the beat writers, their stories are that the team's not competitive anymore, the competitive edge is slipping, and
Yeah, which I don't
agree with at all.
No, it's like you said, Kyle. It's hard when you have Taves isn't playing, Doc isn't playing, Nylander isn't playing, Shaw isn't playing, and Strome isn't playing. Those are 5 of your top guys that are out of the lineup, and granted, it's a next man up mentality, but with the young team and inexperienced team, as far as depth, it catches up to you sometimes, especially against the top teams in the division.
Yeah, I mean, arguably that's what, 6 guys out of your top 9. I mean, you can sustain an injury or two, or at least you should be able to, even if it is your top stars. A good team will be able to get through it until those guys get healthy again. But we're seeing that with Dallas, right? Sagan's out, and I believe
St. Louis as
Radulov.
well. So I think they were without Tarasenko. I think they're without Schwartz. They're without they were without Sundqvist for a while. They're without Parayko, and but I mean their depth is obviously a lot more deep than what we have.
Right. And their young players they're either not young anymore, or you can say they're seasoned. DeBrincat's young, but he's seasoned.
Right. Right.
But it's just, I don't know. I think it was Pope who wrote an article. It's like, dude, I don't know what he's been, I don't know, a turn for the worse the last month. I don't know what his deal is, but it's like somebody sneezed in his oatmeal or something. But it's like, how are they not competitive? Even though they lost tonight, like they had a lead halfway through the game, and then they only lost by 2 goals. Like that, against one of the best teams, and then like points percentage wise, maybe like a top 4 team in the league.
Right.
I don't agree with that at all. Like, well, they were more competitive because they were winning games or they were losing games by a goal or getting to overtime at least. And it's like, yeah, they weren't playing the freaking Florida Panthers. They weren't playing the Tampa Bay Lightning. They
And
weren't.
really, what I've noticed in the games against Florida, it seems like it's really three guys that are doing the damage. And granted, they're top three, but it's either it's Barkov, it's Verhage, or it's Vetrano that are really kind of, you know, doing the damage against the Hawks. I don't know what the stats are against in the, what we played them three games now, but it
Yeah,
seems like
well, I mean, Barkov's a superstar,
right,
and
right.
then
So
Verhage's come out of nowhere, and then maybe Vetrano's just put it together this year. I mean, they're kind of like the Hawks in a lot of ways. I mean, I guess they have maybe good depth scoring, and maybe Q has them playing better because he's a more seasoned coach. But again, they're not playing. The Florida Panthers don't have $30 million sitting on IR.
right.
A lot of people can go, "Oh well, Seabrook wasn't going to play anyway," and that's almost 10 million.
I mean,
That's
do you think if the Hawks like still have Quenneville with the team that they have, does it make a difference in where they are in the standings at this
no,
point or not really?
I don't think so. And I think so. Everybody, like, I saw some people talking about that today, like, "Oh, Q should still be here," and like, Q was stale. Like, God love Q. He's going to be a Hall of Fame coach, and he's going to be, Chicago sports royalty for the rest of his life. But the reality of the situation is, I don't know if he wasn't motivated anymore, or like it wasn't working. Like, he seemed stale. The players didn't give a shit. And that happens. That's sports. The coach eventually, no matter how great they are, there comes a point where it's time to move on.
Yeah, and it
Because,
seems like it's surprising because the Hawks made two coaching moves under some pretty, I wouldn't say like surprising circumstances, but early circumstances. Because didn't they fire Savard when the Hawks were, I think, like one game below 500 or something, and then they brought in Quenneville, and then Quenneville and the Hawks were 500. But I mean, they had that trip because I think it was the trip after Western Canada where he got axed, but where I think what did they went 1-3 or something on that trip to put him back to 6-6-2 at the time. I think
well,
was
with
their record.
Savard, you got to remember that that was, I believe that was Bowman's first season, correct?
That was yeah. Well, that was 2000. Yeah, it was 2008. Or what was Talon still the GM?
Well, I think if I remember what happened, and again, we're getting old here.
Yeah,
Um, I- they brought Scotty, like Stan Bowman was already in the organization under Dale Talon, I believe. And then,
they brought
because,
his father on.
yeah, so they brought Scotty in, and then,
Well, I think all the Hawks fans
well, it
knew
must have been
something was
Talon that
up.
hired him, because Hossa came the following year, and that's when they won. And I remember, I'm pretty sure it was Dale Talon that signed Hossa too. Because remember, there was that like whole big deal out of like the fax issue or whatever.
Right, right. And I think a lot of the Hawk fans knew, especially when I know I was skeptical that something was going to happen, was when they brought in Quenneville as like a scout to start, and I
Right.
said,
Yeah.
"This is okay. That's not going to be permanent. I think if things go south, he's going to take over." And I mean, I don't even think because I think the Hawks had one,
Yeah, it was
and
like
then
3 games or 4 games
yeah,
into
it
the
was like 3 or
season.
4 games into the season, and then they fired Savard, and I was very surprised by that, and but I mean, it worked out, so I'm not going to sit there. But come fast forward to now, but yeah, I know it was like all the talk was, well, Quenneville only favorites his veterans. He doesn't really work well with young players or whatever the case may be. But I don't know.
I don't
It's
even think that's true because like look at we were just talking about Verhage. Um, I guess well look at Forsling, man. That guy was left for dead, and he's playing top 4 minutes for them now.
right,
Like
right.
I like
Well, who did
Cuba's
how why did the
getting.
Hawks get rid of him? What was the
They got
scenario?
Dahan for him.
Oh, okay, okay.
Not well. I guess it probably in the long run works out for them better actually. Just I haven't liked Dahan this season, but he is a veteran defenseman, and considering all of their prospects that they've got, and they were stockpiling last year when they traded Forsling, it probably's worked out pretty well. Um, and Forsling was he with the Rangers? He was with somebody that because he was with Carolina, obviously, and then I think he either got traded or he signed like a tryout with somebody, and then I think Florida just took him off waivers, and now he's a top 4 defenseman. So give them credit for that. But yeah, I mean, look, it's I can't fault this team. Like there was effort there tonight. This was not a game where there was no effort and they were trying to be like they you can't say they're not competitive. That's like a slap in the face to the team in my opinion because they just don't have the skill. They just don't.
Right, it's hard to hold. We've been noticing, especially against Tampa and Florida and Carolina. It's hard to hold leads against those guys when you're shorthanded. A lot of the players that are out for them, and you're asking a defensive core that's really inexperienced outside of really, what do you have, 4 veterans on the blue line. So, and you're pairing them with rookies, and they're learning, they're trying to teach them things, but again, going against the top scorers and against the top teams, it's going to take a while. It's we're crawling before we walk in essence right now.
Yeah, I mean they've played out of their minds this season. So like
Right.
I just thought that was unnecessary. And I don't know if you listened to the post game. I think they asked Hagel. Somebody asked Hagel about, oh, the last like 4 games haven't gone that well, and what do you think, that's happened, or why is that? And it's Hagel didn't really have an answer. He's like, well, I don't think. Like, I think we're playing fine. Like, I don't. We're, and I wish these players would just when they get asked stupid questions like that would just come out and go like, look, if you took $30 million off Tampa, Florida, or Carolina, they're probably where we are. Like that, it's literally like I can't say this enough. It's literally almost half the salary cap. The black like that. If you did that to Tampa, for example, they would probably be in 4th place or 3rd at highest. I mean, they may be in 3rd now because of the standings, but in a normal season where you don't have everybody bunched up together, like they just wouldn't be. And yes, I know Kucherov's been out, although I think he started skating today. But that's one player. They still have Steven Stamkos. They still have Vasilevsky. They still got Hedman. They still got Palat, Sorelli, and like on and on and on and on and on. Like the Hawks are gutted right now, literally gutted. So the fact that they only lost tonight by 2 goals, like, and I don't know. I don't. I don't know. I wouldn't appreciate that if I was one of the Hawks in the locker room.
Well, and then I mean, not that you take it, you don't take it to heart, but you know what? Hey, all right, let's go out there and prove them wrong. Now Monday we got to come out with a lot better game and play every period pretty much like we played the first, because they really held the Panthers in check. I mean, they were averaging, what was it like? I don't know what they were averaging per game with their shot attempts, but
34. They averaged 34, and tonight they had 35. So they basically hit their average.
right. And it was because after the first period they held them to what, four? It was only four shots, I
I think it
think.
was 5. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, and
you know,
that's in, like I think it was Nicole who I think her last name's Anderson. Sorry if you're listening. Like I'm bad with names, but I'm pretty sure her first name's Nicole. Said she's still worried about the defense. And it's like, to me at least, the defense is the best part of this team. The goaltending and the defense is their strength right now. And it goes to what Joe was just saying, how they held a team that averages 34 shots a game to only 5 shots in that first period. The problem is, and I think a lot of people like, I guess maybe they just don't think about it. I don't want to say they don't, they don't, uh, they're dumb or whatever. That's not a good way to put it. But like when your offense isn't producing and it's not getting into the ozone, what happens? Well, either you're really good and they can't get into your zone and there's a lot of neutral zone play, or you're in your end. And that happens to be the case with the Hawks because they're not very big. That's one of the reasons I always talk about size. And that size is a detriment when you're in the middle of the ice and you can't get into their zone. It's another reason they can't get into their zone is because they're too small. And when they play these big, heavy teams, they have to play dump and chase. And some nights that works, sometimes it doesn't. It's a real shitty style of hockey to play, but that's kind of what the Hawks have to do against these big teams. And look, when you're in the other end, in your end, the whole game or 3/4 of the game, what happens? Well, what happened tonight? They played excellent defensively for about the first 30 minutes of the game. Guys got tired. You got rookies at the forward position like Philip Kurashev, who had an awful night tonight, and they break down. The rookies make mistakes. The defense is worn out from playing in their end all night. I mean, Duncan Keith was on the ice for what? A whole 2 minutes and 10 seconds or something for one shift,
yeah.
coming off, I think, a power play. And like that's just what happens. So your defense gets worn down and then bad stuff happens. And look, like we've talked about it the last couple games, Janmark and Soderberg are excellent additions to this team because of what they do defensively. They're two-way forwards. Thankfully, they've both been scoring as well, so that's an added bonus. But they even mentioned it last at the end of the playoff bubble, I believe, and that was an area that their forwards needed to be better defensively. And again, goes just what I was just saying with Kurashev, right? Needs to make better decisions. On that first goal, he missed a clear. And look, I don't have a problem with Lankinen, and people might, go, well, you're always blaming Subban for rebounds. Well, what about that one? And it's like, yeah, but he played the rebound right to Kurashev, and Kurashev didn't clear it.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, and
Well,
I think he even paddled it to Kurashev on that.
yeah,
Like it
well, he
was,
did. I saw
yeah.
the save, and right, and I think it was just Kurashev tried, and I don't know if he got tied up or if he just whiffed on the attempt to get it out, and then next thing you know, yeah, the shot goes on Lincoln, and he paddles it, but it comes right to Barkov, and he buried it. So, um, yeah, it's just being better in our own zone, especially the exits, the breakouts. I guess you can say, we got to try to do a better job to win the battles down there, and get the puck out to, force, force an easy breakout and to get into, the opposition zone.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring up. So I'll get your opinion on this. So Nick, one of the old co-hosts with me back when this was Fear the Feathers, mentioned this to me, and I've seen this been going on Twitter too about Colleton not making an adjustment and that Q outcoached him tonight. So Nick said to me that Colleton should have told Kurashev and the D-man to switch up in the defensive zone. Kurashev takes the wing, and Keith, Sidorov, etc. takes the center, Barkov. It's pretty simple and super common. Now, that's relatively true, but the problem with that is number one, Q has the last change, right? So, like any substitution, like that was my question. Like, well, if your problem is with Kurashev, then what do you want him to do? Put Highmore there or somebody else? Like this team is decimated. You can't really change up the lines, and you want Kurashev, with your better playmakers, I would think, for offense, even though he's technically on the third line or fourth line, I guess. Or no, third line, because he's playing with Janmark and Soderberg, right?
Right.
Yeah. Um, and I don't know. Look, you're dealing with a 20-year-old, and I said maybe Colleton did tell him that. Maybe Crawford told him. I don't know. We don't know what's going on down on the bench.
Well, and I mean, I know what I would like to see, and maybe others' opinions, whatever. When it seems like whenever the Hawks kind of where they're giving up goals, a minute 30 seconds apart. I mean, and it's not just one; it's two or three, and it kind of like what happened tonight. Do you think it would benefit this team maybe a little bit more if Colleton would emphasize the use of, not to say, you got to pull the goalie, but, every so often, I'm sure it's warranted, but I don't think it was tonight. But maybe just instead of pulling the goalie, call a timeout, settle things down a little bit. Especially they're rattled now. When they give up those, two or three goals in 90 or 100 seconds, which I think it was like two goals the Panthers scored after tying it up in a little over 75 seconds. You call a timeout, settle them down a little bit, get them back in the game, because I feel like then their hearts just kind of go sink into their stomachs and they're not in it anymore. And I don't know, maybe if that's what Pope was kind of maybe pointing out, saying that they lost after that happens, then you lose the competitive drive again. But I don't know. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there, but I feel like
I
Colleton
don't
just
know. Well, I mean, I guess towards your question about pulling Lankinen, number one, I don't think that would have been warranted
no,
tonight.
and I'm not saying not to
And
do that, but like
yeah,
maybe the game, where was it that Subban
yeah.
gave you
Well,
that
yeah.
many?
And somebody had asked Colleton that, I think, after that game, and he said he doesn't like to pull goalies. I don't know why.
Right. And it's not a knock on, I mean, all right, hey, they're having an off game. It is what it is. Get them out, because the longer you leave them in, like you said, their psyche can drop. It's hanging over their head. At least you pull them, you get them out of the game more quickly. They're willing to more, I guess, maybe bounce back better the next game they play. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. I'm not a goaltender, so.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I mean, I think it depends on how the night's going for the individual goaltender. I mean, Crawford used to be horrible at that. Like if he was having a bad game when he was a rookie and stuff, the floodgates would open. And like you could tell, he got, I don't know if he started doing yoga. I think he did do yoga. A lot of goalies do usually. But I mean, he would get belligerent. He'd be like Patrick Waugh out there, the goal sticks going over the crossbar. And, I've seen Subban be a little bit more emotional than Lankinen, I think. But I don't know. I mean, as for the timeouts, yeah, but I think like sometimes it's a tough read, right? Because like they were playing so well up to that point, and I guess maybe if like you said, because this was what, 2 goals in 79 seconds?
Something like that. I think Foley had said, or it was like, yeah, 2 goals in 73 seconds. I mean, at that point, yeah, just call your timeout. I mean, what do you? I don't know what. I mean, I know you're trying to maybe save it for a scenario where if you come back, you tie the game, or whatever the case may be. But the chances of that happening at that point with the team that's on the ice is slim and none. At least just use the timeout. Settle the guys down, and like, what is? I know, like Eddie Olczyk always says it all the time when team's down 2. You're going to get a power play. Capitalize on the power play. Now it's a 1-goal game. Either then you tie it up, or you pull the goalie in the third period. Bang, you get a goal there. Now we're tied. So it's like that's kind of what I feel like Colleton should do when the Hawks kind of start to come, unraveled a little bit. Utilize the timeout. But I know he doesn't really do it that often, if at all.
Right. That can go towards coaching and experience too. I mean, that may be one of the more frustrating things too. Dude, he's what? I think Colleton's 37.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a young coach. Probably is he the youngest coach in the league? I don't know what Sheldon Keefe is in Toronto, but he has to be one of. If he's not, he's second or third. Well, probably second. The only one I can think of that would be younger would be Keefe. But
No, I think Colleton is the youngest in the league.
yeah. So, you got a young team with a young coach. Probably not a good recipe, but
right.
It is what it is. You brought up something that I guess positive we can talk about. They went 2 for 2 on the penalty kill again tonight. So that makes 7 penalty kills in a row over the last 2 games. It's a nice development there. Hopefully that continues, because when you're playing these teams like a Tampa or a Florida or a Carolina, and you have an anemic offense, you can't give up goals on the power play. And also you got to stay out of the box.
Right.
Only having 2 penalties tonight, that'll do. However, sticking on that subject, going to the third period, there were several missed calls, and one of which I can't believe there wasn't more made out of it, which was the knee on knee by Ekblad on Kane. Every league and since I've been around at least, that's a game misconduct 5-minute major and a match penalty.
Did the
Last I
refs
checked,
that, or what? I don't know if I remember seeing that play. I may have.
Yeah, so it was right before they got their power play in the third, and Kane had gotten away and had a shot on Bobrovsky. I think it was in the circle. And Ekblad had skated into Kane. And I had noticed, Kane went down awkwardly. And I had noticed it. And then Eddie goes, yeah, I wonder, Kane just fell awkwardly. I wonder if Ekblad, hit his knee or something. And then they, showed the replay because Kane was audibly pissed. You could hear him on the broadcast screaming. And it was knee on knee. And he swiped his leg out and took Kane down. And it's like, are you kidding? That am I they didn't talk about it on the broadcast of what it would be, but that's a 5-minute major in a game misconduct, isn't it? To take somebody out on their for kneeing, that's intent to injure, especially knee on knee.
Right. Did any teammate see it too to try to go after Ekblad?
No, Kane did though.
Okay, I didn't know if any
Kane was
saw it or
Yeah, well, Kane went after Ekblad. He was yelling at the officials, and then there was a face-off shortly thereafter. I don't in the neutral zone, I believe, and I don't know who it was, But Kane, before the face-off, even the puck was dropped, Kane was cross-checking whoever it was that was next to him on the wing position. I don't know. It might have been Verhage. I don't know who it was. But, yeah, so that was a huge missed call. And I swear to God, I haven't seen Kane that pissed in a long time. Like, I thought Kane was going to fight somebody.
Did
Like,
they ask him about it on the post game?
I didn't. Did he have an interview in the post game?
I didn't. Yeah, I don't know if he did or not. I didn't know if you saw it or.
Well, I know. So they did Boquist, Colleton, and Hagel. I don't know if they did anybody else. Anyway, and then like shortly thereafter is when the Hawks got a power play. And then I don't know if you saw this one because they talked about it too, but Kane was hooked. Should have been a 5-on-3. He was hooked.
Yeah, that I remember happening. Yes.
He was hooked twice, actually. Or maybe one was a slash and the last one was a hook. But either way, you could have got at least one penalty out of the stick work that was being done there. And that wasn't called. So, like, it was, I don't know. Like, I was shocked, actually. Because kind of like what you said, nobody else went after Ekblad. And I mean, Ekblad, I believe, is their captain, correct?
I think so.
If he's not, he's probably one of their assistant captains. He's one of their leaders, I believe.
No, Barkov. Barkov's their captain.
Okay. Well, anyway, that was something else. And then Gudis took out Soderberg in the second period, and they were talking about how that and it was legal hit. I have no problem with that hit. And Zadorov kind of was checking in on Gudis, but then Gudis took another run at somebody else in the third period. And that's going to bring me to my next point. Like, going into Monday, I'm taking Walmart out of the lineup for sure, and I'm putting Reese Johnson in just for the purpose of if shit starts going down and they start taking, shots at players again like they were tonight, we got somebody that can drop the gloves and, pay them in kind, if you will. Also, I think Kurashev should probably be sat. And it's not necessarily, I know that's probably going to be controversial since he's been such a good rookie. But look, he had a bad game tonight. And he's, other than his shootout goal the other night, right? Like, he's been kind of quiet lately. So you know how they gave Ian Mitchell a little bit of a 2-game breather. I don't know what would be wrong with giving Kurashev a little bit of a breather too, whether if it's one game, probably just one game, right? But
who would have go in for him then?
Would have to be Peary. He's the only other forward other than Johnson. So you'd have Peary and Johnson in there. And you know what? You need to score. So I can't believe we haven't seen Peary since the first game of the season. It's been that long. Give it a shot. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it works. Maybe you get magic there. But I think just like I said, just to give Kurashev a game off and get his head cleared, because obviously tonight was ugly for him. But going back to a positive, and we'll end on this one, I think. Humorously, the game after we talk about sending Adam Boquist to Rockford, he has his best game of his career.
Right.
So he had didn't have any increased in ice time at all tonight, so that was interesting. But it was weird. Like, tonight he was playing with confidence. I don't know if he was just up for the game or what it was, but he had speed. Like, he looked faster tonight than he has. He was skating down pucks, making plays, had that was that a 2-on-0 or was it just a breakaway? But he stopped. I don't remember who it was with the breakaway, but he stopped it twice, knocked the puck off the guy's stick twice, stopped it. I mean, saved the goal. And then there was another 2-on-1. I think the second period that he stopped going the other way on the Hawks power play, I believe as well. There was a turnover in the on one of the blue lines, and they had a 2-on-1 going the other way, and then Boquist just did what he needed to do. Took his man, took him to the boards, and that ended the threat. And then obviously, I had tweeted out that I hoped he got a cookie tonight, and he did. Got his top shelf goal from the top of the slot, I believe. They didn't even know it went in. It was so quick, and yeah. So, I mean, what a game from him.
No, yeah, that's what I said. I think I think maybe he was getting tired of the critics and just, I'm sure he probably knows what's being said about him. I mean, he's not stupid. So I'm sure he's looking to, prove the team and the fans, that are kind of giving him the business, which in a way it's
Warranted.
relegated, but
Yeah.
yeah. So but again, I think we have to again say that the kid's only 20 years old and he's going to develop. So let's just hope he continues to make good progress. Which if he plays games like he played tonight, that's a good sign.
Yeah, and he has 12 points in 17 games this year with the goal tonight. So, again, he's got 4 points in his, or excuse me, 5 points in his last 5 games. So that's pretty good from him. And then if he can play like he is defensively, the Hawks are going to be in good shape with him on defense. Again, let's just hope he can sustain it. But with that, let's go to a preview. We kind of touched on it already. At least I did for me about kind of some changes I would make to the lineup. Do you have any changes that you would make going into Monday?
I don't think so. I mean, I would still keep Lincoln in the net. Defensive wise, I don't think I'd make any changes. Offensively, I mean, I know you were talking about, getting maybe Walmart out of the lineup.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I would swap Walmart for Johnson for sure. Just because I want that grit in there, based off what happened tonight. And then again, maybe slightly controversial, but I think I'd sit Kirashev for Peary just to get a different look. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but it would give Kirashev a little bit of a breather. And look, like at this point, Dallas lost in overtime again to Columbus. So, I think the Hawks are still in good position right now, standings wise. Obviously, that's not the best either because that's a 3-point game. But I don't know. Like I don't think we should lose sight on the fact that we're trying to develop these kids. And this is Kurashev's rookie year, and you don't want to overwhelm him. So, as Colleton said with Mitchell, it's always good to get kind of a mental break. And if you look at DeBrincat and Boquist and Carpenter, even all the guys that had COVID that took, a week off or whatever, even Murphy, they've all come back and played better. I mean, Murphy's been playing physical, which is a great thing to see. It's really added to his game. So I don't know. That's just something I would consider. And again, when you're not scoring, that's basically what Peary is. He's just a sniper. So, why not? Peary, like, if you're going to play Peary, just do it. Like, he has played one game all year. Otherwise, get rid of him. Like, I don't know what they're doing with Peary. But
Yeah, I know that they to reacquire him and not really have him be playing. But maybe it's just.
yeah, imagine if they still had Dylan Secura right now. A
But
young, fast player who, in my opinion, didn't really get a shot in Chicago. He was always getting third and fourth line minutes. Imagine him this season with all the injuries and all the rookies that have gotten time. They said, well, we didn't really think we had a place for him. You didn't?
is he playing in Vegas right now?
No, I think he's in their AHL team, which is
Oh, okay.
somewhere in Vegas, somewhere in Nevada, I believe. Robin Leonard's on their AHL team right now.
Oh well,
Um,
he's coming back from an injury, isn't he?
I don't. It's weird. Like, I've been trying to figure out what's going on there because, like, for one thing, Fleury is having, like, at 37 years old, a career year. Yeah. So in Henderson in Nevada, Secura's got 9 points in 11 games, including 6 goals. So that's not looking like a wise trade, in my opinion, considering you need goal scoring right now. And I guess Secure is older than I am. He's 25. He'll be 26 in June. But still, he's younger than Peary. And if you're not going to play Peary, kind of a waste. Yeah, on Leonard, I don't know. I think he's been injured, and he's played like 5 games this year. But Fleury's, again, having a career year at age like 36, I think he is.
Yeah.
Um, so I maybe we can talk about that. Like, if you're Vegas, what the hell do you do at the expansion draft? Because you got to expose one of Leonard or Fleury, and I got to believe Seattle's taken whoever it is.
Well, I mean, are they going to be the best goaltender? Out of the goaltenders being exposed, is that going to be their best bet?
Well, I mean, I imagine Vancouver's going to expose Holtby and keep Demko. So, and I mean, let's be realistic. Holtby hasn't played well. Um, so I don't, and he's only on well, I guess Fleury too is only 1 year after this, but I don't know if they'd want Fleury or not Fleury, but Holtby, just because of the way he's played. I would think Fleury and Leonard would be over Holtby at this point because Holtby's been kind of on a decline the last couple of years. Um, who else goaltending might be out there? I mean, all the vets are probably going to be free agents, like Lundqvist, Anderson, Miller, probably all be free agents, so they won't take them. Bob is protected. Maybe Rene. Is Rene's contract up though? I think maybe.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, maybe one of the guys from Columbus, right? Either Corpusalo or Morz Leakins. But still, they can take 2 goalies, right? So I don't know. I just look at it more from vague. Like, on one hand, Fleury is old, right? That's the knock. He's going to be 37 next year, and he's only got 1 year left on his deal. On the other hand, Leonard hasn't played at all, and he's been injured. So I don't know. That's not a position I'd want to be in because obviously it was heavily criticized when they signed Leonard, and then they played Leonard all playoffs last year, and now all of a sudden Leonard's not playing. So I don't know. I can't imagine Leonard's going to be happy with that situation if it continues to another season. If somehow Seattle doesn't take Fleury.
It'll be interesting. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. But anyway, again, look, the guys, like there wasn't much to really talk about tonight. I guess we haven't talked about the Hagel goal. I don't know. Did you want to touch on that at all?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a great passing play between him and Kubalik.
Yeah.
You know, on a pretty nice 2-on-1. So,
I'd be curious to see that line if they had a better center. And
I
not
think
and
it produced a lot more.
yeah,
Yeah,
without Camp. Well, and that's what's just like, why isn't Soderberg there or Kurashev? You know what I mean? Like,
could be a
why?
move they make maybe for Monday.
Well, I was actually thinking about that tonight. Like, why is Camp there? I've been trying to figure that out. And the only thing I can think of is that Kubalik is such a defensive liability that maybe that's why Camp is there. Plus, Camp is they're both Czech, right? So they can communicate better, maybe.
Maybe,
But
yeah.
I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of is that you try to mask Kubalik's defensive liabilities a little bit by putting one of your more defensive players with him. But yeah, like it just seems like if they had a better setup guy at center, that they might be able to produce a little bit more. But again, Strome's not the answer either. So, and obviously, I think Doc probably centers Kane and DeBrincat when he's back. So I don't know. We'll see. Um, yeah, like you said, beautiful passing play. Nice to see Hagel get rewarded again. He's been a very nice surprise this season, or maybe not surprise, but development. Yeah, so wasn't much really to talk about. Tried to talk about some positives, and again, keep in mind, everybody, when you look at these losses and stuff, we knew they were probably going to lose to most of these teams. So, they're playing with basically missing a foot and an arm. And I mean, realistically, I think we can say they've done well considering. So,
Oh yeah, absolutely. So,
yeah. But with that, that'll wrap this up. Again, thanks for listening. As I've been saying all along here, please wear your mask, check in on your loved ones and family members, as well as your friends. If you're eligible to get a vaccine at the moment, please do it. I know the UC just opened up their vaccination. I don't know, what are they, like tents or portals that they've got outside the UC?
yeah, and Lot E. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I'm not going to, there's like 15 zip codes, I think, that are eligible to go there. But if you're in one of those and you are either an essential worker or age relevant, please go there and get your vaccine so we can get out of this and get back to normal quicker so we can get back to the United Center and watch games live. But with that, everybody, we will see you on we'll see you Tuesday morning for Monday's game, the rematch between the Blackhawks and the Panthers. But until then, let's go Blackhawks.
All right. Thanks again, everybody. Go Hawks. And we will talk to you Tuesday morning.